Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Khalid Muhammad Ariff from Sekitar, Senegis near Berhad. Alhamdulillah. I live another day today towards the 7th of Rabiul Akhir 1442, 23rd of November 2020. So thank you, YouTube, for providing such an amazing platform whereby all of us would be able to share important information, especially knowledge. And in my case, my ultimate aim from my conscience is to reduce, if not eliminate, which is impossible to eliminate, but to reduce or retard or slow down the occurrence of environmental impact, which is, well, a syndrome now towards for the entire world. So I am here today to facilitate anyone. It could be industrial or services sectors. It could be institution. Anybody who wants to have an environmental management system, not only for the ISO 14000 version 2015 certification, including those who do not need certification but want to have an environmental management. And I am hoping to help my fellow consultants, trainers who are assisting all these sectors, all these clients of yours, uh, especially the industrial sector, which consume the bulk of our environmental resources and also releases the bulk of wastage, which we know are environmental aspects. So that's the reason why I make this video. And before we go on, please, to all Muslims viewers, please do not watch my video whenever you are in the mosque for the Friday prayers for or any other religious events. Thank you very much. And in this video, I will also show some early introduction towards the environmental aspects, its definition, its rationalization. I will produce that shortly. And then I'll help you by sharing the input-output analysis for us to determine our respective environmental aspects from its related industrial activities or processes, or even non-industrial activities and processes. And in this one, we might take a look at the one example. Here you are, spray painting, which is rather common. And this is one activity that we shall look at. Okay, so I thank also all subscribers to my channels, all viewers. I sincerely hope that this would benefit you in one or other ways. And please use this information for the right reason. And please consult your respective consultants and trainers and discuss with them. Okay, and they might understand what I'm saying because they are in the field, and probably those who are new in this environmental management system, especially students, please follow thoroughly, and inshallah you'll get there. Okay, let us take a look at the next slide. I have here before you a slide which is reproducing what the environmental management system ISO 14001 version 2015 has promulgated as a definition for environmental aspects. And we shall look at this definition by rationalizing it using the what is called life cycle perspective. This is a very important knowledge. I love this definition. It just connects all the puzzles that I have. For many years, I began environmental management in the year 1984, 85. I've got this passion in environmental management. We have seen a lot of problems with the environment, and I couldn't find the definition until I found ISO 14001 using the word environmental aspect. So, what is environmental aspect? Now, before we talk about what is environmental aspect, please remember that ISO 14001 has defined environmental management system, which is environmental management system manages environmental aspect by fulfilling compliance obligation and addressing risk and opportunities. Now, environmental management system is about what? Managing this, what we call environmental aspects. And from this definition, the ISO Geneva, somehow I believe the TC 207 are genius, comprises of genius people who have been doing a lot of thinking and lots of experience studying case studies on environmental impact all over the world. They are very good, and when they come up with this definition, for me it is a remarkable product of ISO. All right, having said that, let's come back. Environmental aspect, if you look at this, the definition is a bit wordy. It's wordy. It has got to be wordy because it has got to be put in literature. But what it means is these two words. The one in red font, what are they? Interacts or can interact. One is already interacting, the other is potential to interact. What? What interact with what? Now, environmental aspect is anything. Thing. T-H-I-N-G. Thing. It's a thing. It's a matter. It's a substance. It's an equipment. It is a machine. It is a building. It is the organism in the soil. It is the inhabitant of the ecological system. It is including nutrients. It is including waste. Anything that interacts or it can interact with the environment are environmental aspects. Nonetheless, processes like painting, in this case, painting is a process. A process is not an environmental aspect. It is an element of the organization. It is a mechanism. And that process, for example, printing machine. The machine, the printing machine is an environmental aspect, but the process is a name for the activity. Process like printing is not an environmental aspect. The word printing is not an environmental aspect. It represents the work. And printing involves printing machine. And printing machine is an environmental aspect. Why I will show you with some examples. You can keep it up. All right. Environmental aspects involves in the printing machine like what? Ink. All right. Into the machine and out as printing waste or printed product. These are all environmental aspects, including electrical energy, etc., etc. We will discuss that. Okay, so that is basically what environmental aspects means. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this particular slide. What I want to show you is that environmental aspects can interact upstream and downstream of its life cycle. There you are. Every environmental aspect, let me rephrase it in that way, has a life cycle. It comes from somewhere and it is being involved in certain process, and after that process it goes somewhere else. What happened to it somewhere else? So this is called the life cycle. I keep it short, okay? Now let's take a look. One example over here. Let's take a look at diesel. This is diesel. In the entire life cycle perspective of diesel, diesel is here. Now, diesel is being used by the power generation plants. There you are. It is being used in the power generation plant. What am I doing here? I'm trying to explain why diesel is environmental aspects, and I'm trying to explain diesel interacts with the environment and causes its respective environmental impact. Okay, follow on. Diesel is being used in this power generation plant by perhaps a burner that burns diesel to heat up a boiler, and boiler produces steam and produces electrical energy. These are all environmental aspects, other environmental aspects other than diesel. So the ultimate is eventually diesel produces energy. Diesel used by the power generation plant generate electrical energy, and electrical energy is another environmental aspect. The power generation plant is an environmental aspect. The activity is called power generation. The process is power generation as a whole. The plant, the material, the substance, the construction, the machines in the power generation plant, including the turbine, the boiler, these are all environmental aspects, and they interact. When diesel comes in, they interact. They start to burn, produces heat, boils a boiler, produces steam, steam turns turbine, produces electrical energy, and they interact with the environment. How? Look, let's take a look at diesel. It interacts with the environment, this entire process, with diesel in it, causes what? Air emission. It could be sulfur oxide, nitrogen oxide, it could be carbon dioxide, and causes what is called environmental impact, which is air pollution. There you are. That's how diesel interact with the environment when it enters a power generation plant and causes air pollution as an environmental impact. So diesel, this is looking at what? Downstream or upstream? This is downstream of diesel. What we have discussed is downstream of diesel. So the downstream of diesel usage as an environmental aspect is diesel can interact with the environment downstream its life cycle and causes air pollution. Just one example. You can think of the rest. Now, where does diesel comes from? Take a look. There you are. It comes from the oil refinery. This is going upstream. Where it comes from is upstream. Where is it from? Crude oil. From where? The rig. Eventually from fossil bedrock. So the formation of diesel, the production of diesel involves various interaction with the environment, and The more demand for diesel, the more the oil refinery will produce air emission, air pollution, will produce effluent, will produce hazardous waste, will produce tenom, etc. from the oil rig, and hazardous waste, blah blah blah, everything. And eventually the bedrock. The bedrock is environmental resource. It is an environmental aspect as well. And the more demand for diesel, the more bedrock will be drilled for oily mud, for oil, for crude oil, causing what is called resource depletion. Why? Because the more demand for diesel, the more extraction of fossil from the bedrock, and the inventory of fossil in the bedrock gets less and less and less. And fossil bedrock is an environmental resource. Therefore, it gets depleted over time. It gets less and less and less. Resource depletion is an environmental impact. What? Upstream of diesel. All right, on top of that, you've got geological damage over here. The bedrock gets damaged. You have seen some of my previous videos mentioning about geological damage. That's what it's all about. When we drill, we are tampering with the geological structure, and one of the environmental impact is geological permanent damage. Okay, so this is the philosophy of the life cycle perspective. For ISO 14001, please refer to your respective experienced consultants and trainers, discuss with them, and they may have a different opinion. Please respect their opinion. However, how detailed shall we go as far as ISO 14001? This is the way. Processes that we can control. We look into operational processes by looking at the life cycle perspective. But those that we can control is limited. So limit our control only to those activities and environmental aspect within our control or influence. That's about it. Okay? I hope this is comprehensible. What have we here? An input output analysis. Why we do this? This is a common. Usually we don't make mistake when we do this. This is a common process when we want to identify what are our list of various environmental aspects that we have, which is related to a particular activity in our entire process. So this is how we identify environmental aspects for our activities and identify their respective environmental impact in view of the definition of environmental aspects and environmental management system. And we look at this based on the life cycle perspective. Okay, and that's how we do it. Now, I have a process, an example of a process that we have here is spray painting. I believe you have seen this picture if you have seen videos titled How SHE Manage Spray Painting. In my earlier videos, you can click my channel and browse through all the videos and you will find this video on spray painting. Okay? Okay, this is how we determine our environmental aspects. Why? We need to know our environmental aspects. Easy. Environmental management system is about managing environmental aspects by fulfilling compliance obligation and addressing risk and opportunity. We'll come to risk and opportunity shortly after this. But now, this is the methodology. It's from mechanical engineering, actually. It's input, output, mass balance, it's the same thing, but this is philosophy. Now, input, output analysis is done for us to understand our environmental aspects. And we have to identify whether that environmental aspect is an input environmental aspect to that process, that activity, or it is an output environmental aspect. Why we have to separate them? This is where the life cycle perspective comes in. Now, for an input environmental aspect, its probable potential environmental impact would be along the upstream or the final end of the upstream of its life cycle. In this manner, we'll look at it from the life cycle perspective. The work is called life cycle assessment. I'm not going to show it here, it's tedious, okay? Now, output environmental aspect will cause an environmental impact downstream of its life cycle. For example, painting system. Let's take one example. Painting system. It's a whole system. From the paint gun nozzle to the paint gun, and for the paint, what they call motor or container, through the entire, what they call hose, paint hose, to the pump, okay, and or electrical cord to the that has got motor pump that pumped the spray nozzle, as you can see in the picture. These are all materials coming from environmental resource. The gun is made of metals, uh, uh, plastic, perhaps rubberized plastic, and usually it's metal and rubberized plastic, or perhaps rubber seals. All these components of the spray gun are made by respective factories using materials which eventually comes from the environmental resource, and the more demand for that material, it will eventually cause what is called resource depletion. And for this particular environmental aspect, the associated environmental impact to it is looked upstream, which is resource depletion. And when this painting system probably kaput, or the nozzle suddenly kaput, and we got to change the nozzle, for example, the paint nozzle, the spray gun nozzle, then it will be replaced with new ones. And this is the used, the old, the kaputed paint part, which is the paint nozzle. I'll just give one example. And actually, in reality, you got to break down all this. It could be nozzle, it could be hose, it could be a screw, it could be the what they call paint trigger mechanism. It's a pump actually. All right, and when it is kaput, what happened to it? Probably the metal part will be recycled into other products, very good, and eventually when the product is kaput, where does it go? Eventually, dumping ground. That will cause soil contamination. That is the end of its life cycle. This is what TC207, I believe. If I'm wrong, correct me. If TC207 members is watching this and I've said something wrong, please comment below and I will stop it. Okay? And the TC207 comprises of people of vast experience and knowledge and understood not just ecology, but all the environmental engineering involved that causes all this resource extraction right up to those resources becomes products, right up to the downstream of the life cycle, and it goes back into the environment. So this is just an illustration for you. You think of the rest, including like yeah, something interesting here. Um, Electrical energy. Okay, when it is being used, it comes from probably coal or diesel. Environmental impact is resource depletion. Once it is being used in this activity, it generates work. Work is not measurable. Work is considered done, and it's not environmental aspect, but those involving electrical energy, the work produces heat. Just an example. And the heat may cause some convection, heat convection, and probably prolong or a various number of heated instruments down there, especially you could feel it in furnaces and boilers, causes some form of thermal radiation. That would be localized environmental impact. I wouldn't want to put global warming. That would be a bigger, more holistic, of a vast mapping of the environmental life cycle perspective. All right, so I believe this is adequate for input-output analysis. So please do this on your own and do consult your respective consultants and trainers, all right, and sit down with them, and they may have a better version of explanation. Please follow them. This is just to help you understand from my perspective. Your consultants, your trainers, whom you have engaged, may have a better version of illustration. So please follow them if their version of illustration is better off. Okay, I'm just sharing what is the best to my knowledge. It's not necessarily the best for all, but this is what I'm comfortable with in displaying it before you. Okay. Now, the next step in managing those aspects that we have identified in the input output analysis is what we call to establish a register of our environmental aspects impact. Okay, and what I have before you right now is what I have developed over the years since 1996, and I find that I'm comfortable with this format. If you have other format, please consult your consultant and trainers if they have got other format of convenience and comprehension to them. Please follow them. This is just an alternative knowledge that we share for you to enhance your own comprehension and for you to improve further, probably able to establish something better than what I have. Okay, now please consult your consultant and trainers. Now what I have here is what I call a dashboard. I love to have dashboard because I'm able to see everything in front of me. Usually, my staff would develop the Excel software, okay, or not PowerPoint like this, but Excel or even Words. But normally, Excel is good because we can do some bits of calculations, okay. And what we have here is a trick. A lot of well, this is from my audit work. A lot of people has confused this part or they have missed out this part. It must begin the first column if we want to manage our environmental aspects correctly and precisely and targeted, we have to begin our aspect impact register with a column called activity or process. As you know, these activities such as spray painting, there you are, is all here. In reality, I don't have the lines like this, I have the spray painting and the entire column, but doing it in PowerPoint is a bit difficult for me, but this is the best I could do. I hope you don't mind, okay? And spray painting from the exercise before this, the input output analysis, what we do is we have this column, activity or unit processes, and we have the second column, which is environmental aspect. And then we have identified for each environmental aspect through the life cycle perspective, that particular aspect is corresponding to the respective environmental impact more appropriately because we have identified their environmental aspects based on life cycle perspective. And then comes a few other columns. Oh, this one you have to consult your consultant, okay? There are various methods of determining which environmental aspect is more significant than the rest, all right? And there are various ways of developing criteria. In this one, what I have shown you is we have tested this format over 17 types, not 17 factories, but 17 types of industries. We have never gone wrong. The way we develop our criteria for magnitude, severity, okay, legal, business. This is how we use environmental management system ISO 14001 in favor of our company's business. There is a criteria for it. And I leave a blank for you to add in any other criteria that you may want to have. Carry on. And also, client. This is most important. Remember, compliance obligation. Client is one of them, not just the environmental law, not just the municipal, not just the insurance company. Well, it could be client as well. And our client who purchase our product directly is really where our income is. If we are a company, a manufacturer, okay, and client is there to enhance the presence of compliance obligation other than legal. Okay, legal could include terms and conditions of approvals, municipals, purchase orders, agreements, etc. Okay, and also we have to address these environmental aspects, whether it occur in N stand for normal situation, A for abnormal situation, and E for emergency situation. Please consult your consultant and your trainers to explain in a better manner, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to make this video too long. Okay, this is just an auxiliary so-called briefing, not even training, for you as a reference to enhance your ISO 14001 comprehension, okay? And also frequency. This refers to the frequency that the environmental aspects is occurring, how often, and how long. This is duration. So the calculation is this one. This final score, what you see here, the final score is based on this. There you are. Magnitude plus add up with severity, legal and businesses, plus client, we got to magnify them, multiply by duration and frequency. And there is specific criteria, definition for magnitude, how we define magnitude based on different scores. What are the criteria to have those scores is I didn't cover it here. this can be provided by a consultant and your trainer. Also, severity of this environmental aspect and severity of its impact, so magnitude of it, the aspects, magnitude of release and magnitude of its impact, okay, and what is is impact to legal, okay, penalty, okay, and what impact would that be, would this aspect be to businesses if the environmental impact occurs. So there is a set of criteria involved. Also the client, okay, and also and then multiplied by the frequency and duration. These are some specific. Now your consultant know this better and your trainer know this better, and perhaps you are already a master of this. This is just an additional. Now look, this one, we've got to add this. In reality, what I have here before risk and opportunity is environmental performance evaluation as a column. Normally I would add that, but I'm sorry, I didn't show it here. But under risk and opportunity is something that we must address based on the definition of environmental management system ISO 14001 version 2015. So for spray painting, for example, well, just plug from experience, paint technique. There is a risk actually involved. What is the risk? Loss of material. A lot of paint is lost for this particular factory. And the opportunity that we have is, I didn't mention the risk there. It's supposed to mention the risk, okay, in reality. Now, we got to review the opportunities to review the paint technique, how they paint it. Different kinds of paint with different solvent concentration has a different technique. The painter knows this very well. Okay, and the next environmental aspect is the used painting parts. Okay, what? Same thing. Impact, soil contamination, it gets disposed. Okay, probably as scheduled waste, as hazardous waste, probably as a normal industrial waste that goes to a sanitary landfill. Okay, what we can do is some of these parts that we saw during our audit are actually metal structure. It gets it is not worn out, but it only clogged. Now, in my perspective and my colleagues associates perspective, we can save this material by cleaning it and changing some of the oil, o-ring, seals, etc., and can be reused. So that's an opportunity for some on-site in the factory converting these so-called waste into renewable or renewed resources. This is the dashboard. This is about spray painting, and we'll try to look at other processes and develop this along the way. Please add up your comments or any shortcomings in my presentation, anything that you like to discuss, please go on. But nonetheless, I implore, please refer to your respective consultants and trainers, okay? They have done a certain what you call format for you. Please follow that, okay? And this is just an alternative to look into other perspective of doing it, okay? It's not necessarily the best or the better ones. No, this is just discussion. Okay, I believe that's about it for this video. I thank you, YouTube. I thank you all subscribers, viewers, and those who comment. And as Malay, I wish everybody semoga dikurniakan kesenangan, keselamatan, kesejahteraan, dan kebahagiaan di dunia dan di akhirat. And I wish everybody, anywhere you are, whoever you are, wherever you are, and to have a good, healthy life and prosperity and the best in your undertakings of all this endeavor. And until we meet in the next video, inshallah, this is my wish to everyone with lots of love. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.